Okay guys, so in today's video we're going to be covering yet another leak regarding the PlayStation 5, but this time it seems as though this is actually legitimate. This is the real deal in terms of talking about the power and the specs and what we can expect from the PlayStation 5. To whereas the last leak we covered, it seems like it's really a 50-50 thing, and I think actually most people are leaning towards it being fake. Actually, I've seen a lot of you say that there have been some people, I think like Z Huge and others, who have actually went out of their way to let us know that this leak regarding The Last of Us 2 and the state of play and whatnot isn't real. So a lot of you are going to notice that I actually took that video down. That was one of the reasons I took it down, but the main reason I took it down, and I just wanted to let you guys know this before we go any further, is because the video actually ended up getting age restricted by YouTube. And for those of you who don't know what that means, essentially it means that YouTube deemed my content outside of its community guidelines, and therefore advertisements are not allowed to be run on it, and it doesn't push the video out. It kind of suppresses the video in many ways. It's not a good thing, and the reason why they did that was because of the footage that I used of The Last of Us 2, which was kind of odd to me because I've used that footage many times before, and I can't appeal it or dispute it either, because when you look at that footage and they say this is too violent, well, I think we can all kind of agree that yeah, this is some pretty seriously violent footage that we see in these Last of Us 2 trailers. But going forward, anytime we talk about it, I might have to find different footage to use, because this is not the first time this has happened, and it really hurts my content and my videos when that happens. So for anybody wondering why I took that down, that's why. Also because it seems that people are coming out here dispelling this rumor or this leak and claiming it's fake. So yeah, just wanted to let you know that. Moving on from that, getting into the leak today that does seem much more legitimate. It has to do with the specifications of the PlayStation 5 and the raw power. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not really big on the tech side of things, and I'm not going to pretend to actually know the ins and outs, because I simply don't. But what I do know after going over this leak is that if this is true, apparently the PlayStation 5 is going to be an absolute monster in many ways. So says here that there's a lot we still don't know about the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlett consoles. Rumors hint at the fact that both will be very powerful, and it seems like the PlayStation 5 is going to be even more powerful than most people expected. A few hours ago, Komachi leaked Oberon, hopefully I'm pronouncing these names right, sample clocks, which is assumed to be the same as Ariel and Gonzalo, both considered to be the name of the APU for the PlayStation 5. The Gen 2 number is extremely high, and it would put the console ahead of the AMD Navi 5700 GPU and almost on par with the RTX 2080 in terms of power. So apparently this Twitter user said, "Breaking, this is PS5. According to this leak, the GPU will be clocked at an insane 2 GHz. This equates to 9.2 teraflops on the RDNA architecture, or roughly 14 teraflops on the GCN architecture, aka over double the power of the Xbox One X, almost RTX 2080 power." So I'll see if I can get that tweet up on screen while I read that. Hopefully I can. And it goes on to say, very little is currently known about the PlayStation 5 console. As we already mentioned, the console's CPU will be based on the third generation of AMD's Ryzen line, and the GPU will support ray tracing. The CPU is based on the third generation of AMD's Ryzen line and contains 8 cores of the company's new 7nm Zen 2 microarchitecture. The GPU, a custom variant of Radeon's Navi family, will support ray tracing, a technique that models the travel of light to simulate complex interactions in 3D environments. And we know that Sony went on record talking about ray tracing and how they kind of want to utilize it for audio as well, whatever that means. You know, for some reason there's people who go around making fun of Sony for that. I don't know why. I mean, I'm all for any improvements they can make visually and, you know, audio wise as well. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of what we're seeing here, I'm not the tech guy, but I was kind of looking into this and what people were saying about it, and it sounds to me like if this is true, now we do have to keep in mind, and this is the really important part, there's two things here. The first is that the individual apparently who's leaking this does have a good track record. So when we say that this leak is most likely legitimate, that's why this individual is really stressing that this is the PS5 specs. This is, the 2 gigahertz clock speed. It's, confirmed. But the other thing we need to keep in mind is that this could be a dev kit. And we know that with dev kits, a lot of times they actually boost the power significantly compared to what the final end product is going to be. So we really have to keep that in mind when we talk about this. But it's looking like this is legit, and all signs are pointing, as we've talked about before. If you notice, anytime we've gotten any type of leak or rumor regarding the specs of the PS5 that Sony themselves haven't announced, and people kind of following this, it all comes back to the same thing, and that is it's going to be insanely powerful. And I know that there's a lot of people who get on my case because I've made videos before talking about how the power of the PlayStation 5 isn't going to matter too much in the end. And I know that there's a lot of people who get frustrated when I say that, because suddenly it's like, oh, well, the power mattered during the PS4 versus Xbox One with the resolution and all that. And listen, I'm not trying to make it sound like power doesn't matter at all, because I'm not saying that. I'm not sitting here saying power doesn't matter at all. But in the end, I would say that the thing that trumps power more often than not is going to be the games. And if there's something we know that Sony is really good at, is making their games look absolutely stunning and phenomenal. So thinking about what studios like Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, Insomniac, and Guerrilla Games, what they can do with PS5 hardware, considering what they've been able to do with PS4 Pro and even base model PS4 hardware, yeah, I think it's safe to say that it's really a matter of how these developers utilize that power. But at the same time, I'm all about the PS5, or any other console for that matter, packing as much power in it as it possibly can, while still maintaining a somewhat affordable price tag, one that can appeal to a wide range of different gamers. You know what I mean? If the PlayStation 5 came out at $800, I feel like that would kind of really hurt big time for Sony, because not many people are going to buy a console for $800. At that point, you're kind of getting into PC territory, and we have to understand that that's the big separation between PC and consoles a lot of time, is the pricing. And what we're seeing here, according again to what I'm hearing some individuals talk about and say, is this is getting really close to like cutting edge PC performance in some ways. And the fact that we're going to get a console out here, not just with the PlayStation 2, it's important to note that it's most likely that Microsoft is doing something extremely similar. We haven't really heard too much on Microsoft's side with Project Scarlett, but we know that it's going to be powerful. And so the big question that everybody has in their minds is, which console is going to be more powerful? Is it going to be Project Scarlett? Is it going to be the PlayStation 5? We've talked before about how there are developers who I'm assuming have dev kits saying that the PS5 is actually seemingly more powerful. Now, we don't know. We really won't know until we get the full final specs, but it's just insane to think that Sony's really going to be going all in. There's no doubt that Sony did, and I'm not going to, try to avoid this conversation because it's just a factual thing that happened. Sony did lean into the power factor when they had it with the PS4. And, looking at some of their older trailers, you can even see when they had the PS4 Pro out before the One X was out, they always made sure to emphasize, like, this is the world's most powerful console. And now we see Microsoft doing the same thing with the Xbox One X, and I'm assuming they're going to want to try to strive to be able to do the same thing with Project Scarlett. But I think at the end of the day, there's really just two things that people ultimately care about. The first, like we always talk about, is the games. There's no doubt about it. There's going to be people who simply do not care how less powerful or how more powerful the PS5 may end up being compared to the competition. What they know is that the studio Sony has is going to deliver amazing gaming experiences that they can't get anywhere else. That alone is going to sell them on the PS5. But the other thing that I would say that most gamers are going to be looking for with the next generation PlayStation as well as the next generation Xbox is they just want to feel that if they go out of their way to upgrade, that it feels like a meaningful upgrade. And something we know for sure for both Sony and Microsoft with these next gen consoles is that they are going for power. They're not going to be holding back. They're going to be trying to really push the limit of what they're going to be delivering, and they're also going to be trying to future-proof these consoles, which is why I believe this leak, which is why when we see leaks like this that really point to the PlayStation 5 being insanely powerful, more so than people expect, that kind of makes sense, right? We know that Sony's going to sell it at a premium price tag, just like Microsoft will with Scarlett, and we know that they want to kind of future-proof these consoles and make it so that when you buy it now, like, the developers are still going to be able to push things even further, going further into the generation. So there's really just a lot of factors at play here. The other thing that people really want when they upgrade is just for it to feel like a true next-gen upgrade. Every time we talk about the PlayStation 5's power or the next Xbox's power, I always say that that's really what it's going to come down to. We know we're going to get graphically intense games, the best we've ever seen. People are also going to be looking for frame rate boosts, right? A lot of people are going to be expecting most games, if not all games, hopefully to be running at a smooth 60 FPS. A lot of people care about that. People are going to be looking for, less load times, less loading screens with the SSDs, and I think that these are all things that are truly going to end up coming together, creating potentially the greatest consoles we've ever seen. And I'm really excited, guys. I'm not gonna lie, like, seeing leaks like this gets me excited because it's not just about the power, you know what I mean, just the raw specs and the raw numbers, but it really is just about, like, imagining what developers, especially thinking about Sony's first party studios and others as well, even third party developers, what they're going to be able to do with these new consoles. And when you see power like this, it really just kind of makes your mind wander, right? Like, I just keep thinking about how good games I played, like Spider-Man and God of War and even Days Gone recently, just how good they look, how good a game like Death Stranding is looking, and imagining, and even The Last of Us 2, right? And just imagining what they're going to look like on these next-gen machines. It's very exciting, but I really wanted to take some time to bring this leak to you guys specifically because even though the last two leaks that we went over, although I think they all come from the same source, kind of, we're all, I think, kind of leaning towards the idea that they may not be true, and it's really just an up in the air 50-50 thing. It's coming from a random source. This is not coming from a random source. This is coming from an individual with a track record, and it seems like all signs are pointing to this console, the PlayStation 5, being insanely powerful, being an absolute monster. And I'm not saying that to emphasize that power is all that matters, but hey, that sounds like a good thing to me. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Does this get you excited for the future of PlayStation games and the power of the next-gen consoles? I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. Really helps it out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. And feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.